Okay, hi, my name is Malachi,
My name is Davion.
and our topic is how did hip hop change over the decade and the influence on youth. Why did we choose this topic?
The reason why we chose this topic is because we feel like most people here today feel that rap and hip hop is all about negativity when it's really not.
The reason why I chose this topic is because I feel like hip hop is something that's been close to me all my life, and that many of my friends know I used to make music and it still influenced me. But although I don't feel the need that I still want to make music, I'm always associated with people that pursue music as a career. So I feel like it's something I can never get away from. Alright, so here's a little bit of background information. Hip hop originally got its sound from blues and jazz, with jazz being African and European culture. It helped create rhythm, and blues helped create the tempo. Hip hop started in South Bronx, New York, by DJ Clive Cool Herc, and the Ghetto Brothers in the 1970s at a party. And some of the four elements of hip hop is MCing, which is the rapper, the beatboxer, which is typically the DJ, and breakdancing and graffiti.
So a lot of today's rap here today will be considered negative because of the way certain artists talk about different types of things that's negative. For one, you hear a lot of artists here today talk about a lot of negativity, from gangs, violence, to killings, or some disrespecting women. And that's not where originally what rap and hip hop is supposed to be about. It was about telling a story and something trying to be positive. Like, for example, some old school rappers, they talk about like them telling a story about either like African culture or some type of culture that they're dealing with. And like I just said right now, more rappers from back in the day, they have a more positive message when they start to like make a song or like do shows or something like that. Their message and their songs are more positive and not really negative. Because here today, a lot of rappers have negative vibes and they're sending out wrong signals about the rap and hip hop community.
Okay, so with him talking about current hip hop, one of the trends that started to happen in late 2012 was the Chirac drill movement. So the Chirac drill movement was started in late 2012 by King Louis, and it was originally seen as an expression of struggle. But at the time, since the movement started, at least 500 homicides was recorded that year. So since 2015, the homicide rate has grew to 1,812, and 5% of those murders were committed by teens between the ages of 15 and 19. Despite King Louis being 26 when the movement first started, more drill rappers were typically the age of 18 or younger. So they found that the movement was for the inner city youth, created by the inner city youth. And like within the movement, most rap, like the drill movement, it consists of like talking about killings, gang bangings, doing drugs or selling drugs, and rappers often name strands of marijuana after deceased rival gang members.
Just as Malachi said, a lot of people in Chicago that are rappers are heavily influenced by the Chirac movement, especially the children. There was an incident where this Chicago rapper named Little Mouse, who was 11 years old at the time, he actually ran into like a student because supposedly he was caught snitching. So what he did was he ran up on him and he choked him and slapped him. And at the time, Little Mouse was only in 8th grade and the student was in 3rd grade. So what happened was they ended up charging Little Mouse with his first charge at only 11 years old. And the kid was so traumatized they actually had to move him to a whole different school just for his own protection. In another case where the Chicago movement is negative is where another rapper named Little Jojo, who was fatally shot in the back by supposed rappers in a vehicle that pulled up to the side of him while he was riding his bicycle in the streets. And right there, this shows how much like negative influence the Chicago movement can be towards the young youth of Chicago and anybody in the world.
Okay, alright, since I could talk about like how hip hop has a lot of negative influences on the youth. Like I want to just talk about the most common one, which was substance abuse. Since 2012, when rappers like Future and Wiz Khalifa came out, teens have like their fan base is typically the ages between 14 and 19. So and kids are so easily influenced. They think that doing like drugs or like smoking weed is cool, and they just want to fit in. So most of the common drugs that were overused were prescriptions such as Vicodin, Xanax, Adderall, and codeine, which is cough syrup. Yeah. And some of the positive influences on children is that it increases class activity because once the students are involved, they don't mind being in class, which leads to higher attendance rates in school. And with schools implementing Common Core into their educational system, it inspires critical thinking and improvement of vocabulary. This is why some schools use spoken word poetry inside of English classes. But like hip hop not only helps inspire in English classes, but with math and science because it's common that if kids hear like a catchy sound, it gets stuck in their head. So it can help improve, like help students get vocabulary down and mathematical equations and formulas. That's it.